I'm going to say something that may not sit well with a lot of people. It may get me a lot of backlash. It may get me disliked. But either way, I think during these times, things like this need to be said. And I think that you need to have people that are more afraid of not honoring or withholding and glorifying God's name and a standard versus someone who is too busy worried about what other people will say. And even though it is election time, I think understanding that regardless of what happens, regardless of who wins, that God still is in control. I think we have to understand, and one thing we need to realize and not be deceived of is, regardless of who wins this presidential election, we have bigger issues than what's going on currently with the election. And what I mean by bigger issues is that there are still people, there are still things happening in the world that are very disturbing. There are people who are losing their minds, people who are having their souls are crying out for help, people who are going through mental battles, people who are going through a lot of personal and internal warfare. And we are being deceived, and we are allowing our attention to be taken away from what's really important. I understand that who runs the country is important to a lot of people, and it is important, but we also have to understand that 1 Corinthians 10:26 says the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. So God is still in control of the earth, regardless of who is running it and who sits in that seat right now. We have to understand that God is still in control. And so regardless of who sits in that presidential seat, we have to understand that, and we have to put in place, and we have to have peace of mind that regardless of who sits there, that God still is in control. God is still taking order and is precedent over whoever. And I think that if we get distracted by this, that we will start to overlook and we will start to miss out on bigger and more important issues. There are people whose souls are still lost. There are people whose minds that need help. There are people who are literally thinking about committing suicide, people who are in high states of depression, people who are going through so much internal conflict that they don't know how they're going to make it day to day. And if we get distracted by this debate and we continually create division, and we're so focused on who voted for who, and we're so focused on the division that's going on, it's going to continue to make things worse. And so in Matthew 12:25, Jesus is talking to the disciples. Well, he's talking, and he is saying a house divided cannot stand. And so regardless of who you voted for, regardless of whatever it is, the bigger thing or the deeper issue behind it is the division. Because as long as there is division on whatever the situation or circumstance is, it's going to continue to be a divided nation. It's going to continue to have disagreements. It's going to continue to be issues. It's going to continue to be war because of the division. And the quicker that we understand that the real issue or the real goal of the enemy is to create division, regardless of what it is. And so we have to understand that when the devil is attacking something that you can see, he's also after something that you can't see. And if you focus on this presidential election, regardless of, and look at the candidates, it's man, woman, is gender. You're looking at so much other things. It's about things that he has done, things that she has done, things that were said, things that he said, things that she said. And it all boils down to division, because the more division that can be sown into this situation, the more that people will be divided. And when there is division, that is one of the easiest ways for the enemy to take precedent. We have to understand that one of the goals of God is to create unity, for everybody to be on an even playing field, for everything to be level. And right now, with this election going on and this election taking place, division is happening. And this division is creating a distraction to prevent us from actually being able to see God's grace, to actually prevent us from being more like Christ in this moment, to have unity, to have peace, to have love, to display the characteristics of God. So regardless of who wins this election, regardless of what's going on, remember that God is always in control. Will forever be in control regardless of who wins. And you have to put your faith in him over someone else who's running the country. I hope this helps. And if anybody has anything to say, leave it down in the comments. I will comment or have a back and forth with you, not in a negative way, but I will explain why I made this video. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.